Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports. We're gonna start doing these. Uh, Sorry, microphone looked like it wasn't connected there. These sort of day in Seattle sports things. I think I'm gonna call them the Seattle Sports Summary. That's gonna be what this is. Seattle Sports Daily Summary. It'll be something like that. I'll figure it out. But with how much that's going on in this city, with how much Seattle sports scene continues to grow, um, seemingly by the month. I think it's important to start, somewhat of a daily series, something like this, where it's like recapping it. I think I want to do a preview of the day as well, especially this upcoming this weekend with the Tempest are in championship weekend. The Rain just played today. The Mariners continue to play, obviously. The Sounders are supposed to play Sunday. We'll see if that happens. The Cascades played today. Um, the Majestics played yesterday, no, 2 days ago. Sorry. The Kraken introduced Lane Lambert on Monday. PWHL Seattle has the expansion draft on Monday. There's a lot going on in the stretch of days here as the month of June begins. So who better to do this sort of Seattle Sports Daily than the one outlet that actually does all of the Seattle sports. So this will be the pro edition. Obviously, there's the minor league slash semi-pro and the University of Washington coverage that we do. And gotta get those good up, getting up. Gotta get those up and going. So anyway, let me shut up and get to the point here. We're gonna go with the teams who played games today. First, talk about those teams. We'll talk about the winning teams first. Three of the teams in Seattle Pro Sports in action today: the Rain, the Cascades, and the Mariners. So we'll start with the Rain getting a huge road victory over the San Diego Wave. This one didn't look super great coming into it. The Rain had lost their last match before, excuse me, coming into this game. They're on the road for three consecutive matches in the month of June. They were coming off of that tough international window. They had a ton of international players basically getting in the day before. Um, like just Fishlock played on Tuesday. It's not ideal. Um, but the Rain were able to put up a strong performance in this one. The stats will favor San Diego, and that made sense. They owned if I go back to it here, I gotta get the right matchup. I was doing some stats on Emery Adamas. The Wave owned 63% of the possession. They had 8 total shots, which was more than Seattle's. Both teams tied for shots on target, funny enough, but the Wave had the two big chances in this one, which is funny given that the Rain scored the two goals. The first 45 minutes was a weird mixture of Seattle really doing well to defend against the pressure that San Diego presented. Lots of balls that Seattle had to clear out within their own box. Good play within their own box to make sure there were no chances for the Wave, or at least limiting those chances. And a few pieces of dangerous possession. Lou Barnes mentioned it during the post-match press conference that they did a better job this match, sorry, of getting into the final third, and I would agree with that. Not that it matters to the end of some minutes leader that I agree, but just seeing the sort of possession that they had in the spaces they were able to get into, it just looked like they weren't able to, get that final pass or really even get a shot off. I believe at the half they didn't even have a shot attempt. So that was difficult, but going into the half like that, defending how they were, and getting into spaces that they were, plus, considering the bench that they have in this match is ridiculous. If we go to this, because again, I mentioned the internationals that were coming back from that FIFA window. They obviously didn't start. It's pretty remarkable. You look at the bench: Matty Darlene, Lynn Biondolo, Anghra James Turner, Jess Fishlock, uh, and Ji So Yoon all on the bench for Seattle in this one. So really, really fascinating um, to see this. So, uh, that's why I figured, hey, like I felt good about the chances for the Rain in this one, considering the veterans that they were going to have available off the bench. It ended up not being the veterans who scored. Sally Menti, who had signed a short-term agreement that ends at the end of this month, scores a banger of a goal in the 67th minute to give the Rain the lead. A Roosevelt high school alum, a Seattle native who had trained with the club for years, ends up getting that goal in a big moment. Unfortunately, the Wave answer just 8 minutes later. Delphine Cascarino, I believe I'm getting that right, with a header goal off of a corner. San Diego has done so well to score off of set pieces so far this year, and that was the case here. The Reign have really tried to, take a big emphasis and place it on their defensive play, of course, after last season, but especially defending against set pieces. And unfortunately, they've done a good job so far, not there. Cascarino, rises on a header, scores, and it's all level. And I think, oh, shoot, okay, maybe you just be happy to get out of this one, with a draw. San Diego had been really hot coming into this one. They'd been unbeaten in their last six matches. They were second in the table behind only, I believe, Kansas City. And the Reign were at sixth place. They were in danger, sixth place in the table, in danger of falling even further, potentially even out of the playoff picture, with a loss and depending on the other results around the league. But in the 88th minute, as at Jordan, I'm referencing a Twitter friend again. On Twitter, mentioned at ERR Jordan with a Y, mentioned Emery Damas, and this is the handshake emoji, late game heroics. Emery Damas in the 88th minute, great build up play from Seattle, largely with just Fishlock and what she was able to provide. Gets the ball up. Adamas, kind of a little, almost like a crossover in basketball, is able to create space to get a shot off, and is able to beat, was it Kalen Sheridan was in goal? Yep, beats Sheridan, gives Seattle the lead in the 88th minute. The both of Adamis's NWSL goals have come in the 70th minute or later. Her goal against Gotham in the opener this year, yeah, in the 71st minute, and her goal tonight in the 88th minute. If you want to count the goal against the Courage on Megan Rapinoe jersey retirement night, even though it's credited as an own goal against Casey Murphy, which sure, that was in the 90 plus seventh minute. So it would still fit the bill. So big 3 points for Seattle. They push all the way up. Well, not all the way up. They push up to the fifth spot in the table. They've done pretty well on the road this year compared to how much they struggled on the road last year. They've won three of their last five. So looking better. And I mean, like Laura Harvey mentioned in the post-game press conference, if they're able to, continue to play play well defensively, which is part of the reason why Emery Adamas is, seeing some more minutes as of late, getting start last match against Washington, and obviously the success of the goal here. Her defensive play is what has helped her, get more playing time recently. Harvey mentioned that, hey, if, considering the matches they've played in with the 1-0 goals, 1-0 results, if you can't play well defensively, you're not going to see the field. So Harvey credited Adamas for the defensive play that she's shown in recent weeks. So big for Seattle there. Their next match, again, all of them road matches comes 8 days from this one, Saturday, June 14th, against the Chicago Stars. They've rebranded from the Red Stars, and kind of a funny rebrand. Chicago's really struggled this year. They are one win, eight losses, and one draw on the season, at the very bottom of the NWSL table with just four measly points. So can't take anybody lightly. Got to continue to play well. Keep things going, because depending on the other results, if the Reign are able to get a win next week and those 3 points, they could, again, depending on the other results, they could bump up all the way to the second spot in the league table. So that is it for the Reign. Nothing else came up Reign wise today, as far as I remember. It was just match day, which still quite important, of course. Was on Amazon Prime Video. um Yeah, yesterday Claudia Dickey was announced to the NWSL Best 11 team, but that was yesterday. So, oh wait, no, that was today. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, we can do two things today. It just felt like yesterday. It's weird. Guess it's been a long day. Yeah, Claudia Dickey for the month of May was named to the NWSL Best 11 team. Um, Pretty remarkable. Yeah, that was this morning, 9 a.m. Okay, sorry, I had to go back and look at my press email. Um, She was named to the May NSL Best 11. It's her first career Best 11 honors following, some pretty big May performances, obviously, that saw her get called into the U.S. Women's National Team or a little bit earlier during that FIFA window. Uh, it was big in the month of May. Yeah, absolutely. Facing 54 shots, which was the third most in the league, if I remember correctly, only conceding 3 goals across those 4 matches. Just 25 years old, obviously signed an extension a little bit ago. She recorded 2 clean sheets, tied for the most in the league for the month. So pretty remarkable there. Again, really big that the Rain signed her to a 3-year contract extension just a little bit ago. And then, earning the U.S. Women's National Team call up, very deserved for Dickey. So, you know, very, very, that was, hey, it's just Claudia Dickey's world, and we are all living in it. Goodness. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. That felt like it was yesterday. Don't know why. So pretty solid day for the Rain. You get 3 points. Your goalkeeper is named to the best 11 for the NWSL. Love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. We'll go over here now to the Cascades, Seattle's men's professional ultimate team, ultimate frisbee, that is, playing in the Western Division of the Ultimate Frisbee Association. Big one, for the Cascades. Second consecutive game at home at Memorial Stadium. They play at Memorial Stadium, if you're unaware. Uh, you know, Seattle's had a tough run of things on this year so far. They're 1-6 on the season coming into this match. They've lost their last four. So you really wanted to see them come up big. I mean, they were in the championship weekend this last year. Uh, and it had not, the season really had not gone how anyone involved had hoped so far. I know most of this because of our Cascades and Tempest writer, Becca. So shout out to Becca, who has to work on the recap for this one. One of the big things for them, from again Becca, that I'm aware of with the Cascades, and at least watching a few of them, because some of the matches that they play are on YouTube, available for free on YouTube, at the Ultimate Frisbee Association YouTube channel, has it just been their defensive play? I mean, it really seems like they're able to score and create offense like any other team, but their defensive play has let them down. They've lost some really tight ones. Um, so I was really looking to have that change against a Vegas Bighorns team that Seattle was able to get their only other win on the season against, and another team that struggled. They were 0-4 coming into this one. So really nice to see Seattle go on and get this one. Some nice long scores, nice long goals in this one. Uh, yeah, nice little crafty plays here. Uh, and ultimately coming away with a 23-12 victory. I mean, an 11-point win is no slouch, especially with the way that the Cascades have been playing so far this year. Um, it's not a dig. It's just unfortunately that's just how the season has gone, right? So, 5-3 at the end of the first. Nice to get that. Um, an early lead to go into the half up 10-7. A little close, but again, holding it down defensively, not how things have gone. Um, when we passed 15-9 at the end of the third, and then adding a nice fourth period to go on and stamp that down, get that victory. Uh, critically important, especially considering how things have gone leading into this week. So really nice for the Cascades to get this win here. 2-6 on the season now. Just really struggles. Funny that both wins again come out against the Bighorns of Las Vegas. So you've got one, two, three, four more matches left on the season. A little bit of a break until the next one that they'll play. That one will be at yes, because of the renovations that Memorial Stadium will be undergoing, considering that the OVG group, which is funding is behind Climate Pledge Arena, right? The Cascade, sorry, have to move to Interbay Stadium for the rest of this season. And I believe next year as well, while Memorial is being built. So that match isn't for a while. The Cascades don't play again until Saturday, June 21st at 5 o'clock at Interbay Stadium against the LA Aviators. The Aviators have also struggled this year. Currently, they are 1-5. I don't know. Is there a standings I can look at here? Um, oh yes, standings. Sorry, I'm generally pretty new to all the stuff with yeah, Seattle's um fifth in the Western Division at 2-6. I don't think they'll be making any sort of playoffs. So that's tough. It is tough. They've largely only played um the Western teams. Yeah, the Western Division. So the Aviators, the first team they'll play in the South Division. Um, Interesting. Okay, I learned something every day. So yeah, next match not till the 21st for the Cascades. It would have been a stretch of a four-game homestand for them. It still is. They're all home games, but obviously two of them at Memorial, with a loss to the Shred on the 30th of May, and then this win over the Bighorns, and then game against the Aviators on the 21st, and then their next one, the 27th of June, against the Colorado Summit. So there is that for the Cascades. The Mariners were the other team that played today, and they just continue to really struggle. If I check this right here and I, make sure I get this correct instead of giving you false information. Um, Oof, yeah, the Mariners have lost four straight. Um, Coming off of a really ugly homestand. That is rough, buddy. Yeah, getting swept by the Baltimore Orioles, an Orioles team that has struggled for the vast majority of this season, mind you, and then coming off into this six-game road trip, 6 games in 7 days, that they're away from T-Mobile Park before coming back next Friday. The Angels continue to kind of be this team that's in obscurity and mediocrity. Well, the Mariners have too. I understand that. Um, and unfortunately, the Mariners just continue to kind of skid. They continue to they continue to skid. They were, a good chunk over 500 for a while. Now they're just 2 games over 500 coming out of this one. So, um, really, really unfortunate game, and not super unfortunate, but it's a rough one. I mean, the scoring in this one was all within the third through fifth innings. Um, Quiet for the first few. Bryce Miller getting the start for Seattle. Um, who was getting the start for? Oh yeah, Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks and his 85-mile-an-hour fastball. Just tough. Just really tough. Um, so yeah, this was tough. I mean, again, a lot of things going wrong for the Mariners over the past homestand, besides the play of Cal Raleigh and JP Crawford, unfortunately. Um, And funny enough, who gets things started for the Mariners offensively but JP Crawford? Crawford singles in the third inning to get the scoring started, scoring Ben Williamson. Ben Williamson had a nice game in this one, 2 hits, but you know, it didn't stay for long because in the bottom of the third, Zach Neto scores Chris Taylor on a single. Chris Taylor, yes, Chris Taylor, former Mariner. Chris Taylor, his name will come up a few times throughout the course of this game. So, we're knotted at one right away. The next inning, the Mariners do get some combo offense. Uh, they had the bases loaded against Hendricks with no outs. And so Rowdy Tellez comes up, and I think, all right, we've got a key moment in the game here. You really struggled offensively for all of May, honestly. You need something. Rowdy Tellez, it looked like he had a grand slam. It would have been his second grand slam of the season, but it dies right in front of the right field fence. And it's a sac fly. That's fine. Not sexy offense. Get a run in. Not sexy offense continues as Billy Taveras, who had actually swung the bat well with runners in scoring position so far this season. This was his 15th RBI with runners in scoring position. Grounds out, scores Cal Raleigh. So you get 2 runs with the bases loaded. That's not bad. Just really would have liked to get more, especially considering what happened in the bottom of the fourth. Uh, Bryce Miller had been cruising along pretty well, really until this point. He had gotten 2 outs in the fourth, and you think, okay, just get past Travis d'Arnaud. Travis d'Arnaud didn't have a lot of power. Uh, what happens? Travis d'Arnaud hits his second homer of the season on a fastball, 95-mile-an-hour fastball that's quite literally dead red, in the heart of the plate. Can't do that. It's a 2-run homer. It ties us, so we're going back and forth and trading jabs. Then again, we're continuing to do so in the fifth inning. Ben Williamson, second hit of the day, he hits a leadoff double, kind of a hustle double, really. He hits it to right center. Look, like it could have been a single, but he really hustles out of the box, makes it to second base. Looked like Seattle was going to squander that opportunity, which they so often do. But Julio Rodriguez hits a triple, sorry, all the way to deep center field. Joe Adell tries to leap and make the catch, isn't able to do so against the wall. Julio makes it all the way to third. I believe Chris Negron, the third base coach, was waving him home initially, but saw the throw come in and he had him halt. So hey, maybe the extra run could have helped him. On a changeup, really on the outside of the zone, which is nice to see. Um, then in the bottom of the fifth, uh, former Mariner Chris Taylor continues to hurt you. He doubles on a fly ball to center field, scoring Joe Adell, and then Nolan Schanuel singles to score Chris Taylor. The Angels take a 5-4 lead that they never look back from. Seattle, it seemed like the offense was going jab for jab in 3 for 5, innings 3 through 5. From there, it was nothing else. Bryce Miller, a tough one in this game. It looked like he was traveling along pretty well. The fastball just kind of started to die and have less life throughout the course of the game. And yeah, man. I mean, this is a tough one. The bullpen came in and held it down. I mean, Jackson Kowar came in. He's still spotless on the year with a 0 ERA, 1 inning of work. Edward Pizarro, 2 clean innings of work, 4 strikeouts. Um, just the other side of it, the Mariners offense couldn't do anything against the Angels bullpen. So just really ugly. A lot of ugly things you're seeing from your offense here. Really, once you go past your top four hitters, things get ugly. Randy struggled for a while now. He did have 2 walks in this one, which the Mariners have gotten away from the walks since the month of May, so that's nice to see. But really, over his last 30 games, um, yeah, last 30 games, things have been ugly. Hitting 211 over his last 30. He's hitting 158 over his last 15, and he's hitting 154 over his last 7. So really hope you can get right with Randy there. Um, Rowdy Tellez is still hitting 210. The first base position has obviously been a hole for the Mariners. Dylan Moore came in and pinch hit, and even Dylan Moore struggled since like May 11th. He's hitting 200, which is horrible. Leody Taveras hitting 208 in the season. Cole Young, you got to give Cole Young a little bit of grace. And I know we really can't afford to give grace to anybody, but Cole Young's coming up as, on whether, it's meant or not, has been kind of seen as a savior. They hit the emergency button, have called up Ben Williamson and Cole Young. You can hit the emergency button again and and call up Harry Ford, but I don't know how much that really will help you. Um, so Ben Williamson's played well. I mean, he's hitting 252, 2 hits in this one, 2 runs, and then, so yeah, that's the Mariners. I mean, guess more depressing to talk about if we really go into it deeper, because then you ask the question, even though he didn't do much in this one, what does this Mariners team look like without Cal Raleigh? If you want to have nightmares, then think about it that way. Uh, but I imagine you folks don't want to do that. So we're not going to do that. We're going to instead move over now to the teams that did not play today. We'll start with PWHL Seattle just because of the success that they have had. I say success, but they seem to be doing all the right things so far early. The exclusive, this was day 2. No, I think day 3. Sorry, I kept saying that. So I think that would have been, I don't know. It was still early into the exclusive signing window because they had until the 8th to make signings both PWHL Seattle and PWHL Vancouver. Um, Neither team waited, and both teams now have filled out the maximum 5 slots that they were allotted for the exclusive signing window. Today, we've obviously talked about, well, there's a full video that we've got, myself and our PWHL Seattle writer, Sylvia Leja Rosas. Um, talking about all of the things that happened for Seattle through the exclusive signing window that is on our YouTube channel. There'll be two videos down from this one. Um, so if you want to get a full recap of that and not just me mentioning it in this show, then you can go ahead and look at that. Today, I'd heard a little bit about this coming into the day. Thought maybe it would happen earlier from a source that I've got, but it happened today. PWHL Seattle adds Alex Carpenter. Uh, Very, very good forward from the New York Sirens. They kind of picked on the Sirens today, and we'll get into that. But you look at Carpenter. She signs a 1 year deal, and I'll talk about that and why it's not as scary as it may seem in a second here. But she signs that 1 year deal. And you look at the resume, third all time in PWHL career points. She was a finalist for the Billie Jean King MVP award last season, two-time Olympic medalist. Um, just absolutely crucial to add. That was made available. You put her and Hillary Knight, you see those two forwards as the top two forwards on any roster, and you're like, wow, so she became the fourth signing for Seattle. One of New York's three foundational signings, the first three signings that they made, served as an alternate captain throughout the 2 years with New York. Ranks third all time in points for the PWHL. Missed some time last year due to injury and still was a key point player. Third in career points per game average. First all time, tied for first all time in power play points. So won't have any power play struggles, seemingly like the Kraken have. Um, Tied for the second in league scoring. Uh, Last During the inaugural season with 23 points in 24 games, voted first team All-Star, named a finalist for Forward of the Year and the MVP award. As I mentioned, this past season had 20 points in 26 games, finished third in the Sirens in scoring. You look at the international, two-time Olympic silver medalist, seven-time world champ for Team USA. And we go back through her hockey career, besides internationally, she's played for the PWHPA, the CWHL, the PHF, and even in Russia. So um, yeah, folks were maybe a little bit concerned with the 1 year deals. There was a media availability that here we go. There was a media availability earlier today, this morning, before this other signing with the players that PWHL Seattle had signed. I was asleep, unfortunately. It didn't. I overslept. But Sylvia, our writer Sylvia, was in it. Uh, there was some concern with Hillary Knight signing the 1 year deal. I know I've talked about it on this channel before, but Hillary said, I'm not planning on going out anywhere after 1 year, which is obviously really big. Said that the term that she signed for doesn't reflect her commitment or promise to what they want to build in Seattle. That's really big. Alex Carpenter echoed those words, saying she's hoping to see where this goes in the future. So that's really big. I mean, you know, there's someone on this channel who has come in and been frustrated with how I think they're just frustrated with the expansion draft, and that's fine. Um, but like says, oh, your team will lose these players in a few years too. I'm like, sure, that's how the expansion goes. That's truthfully how it is. Um, it's not anything new. Uh, I'm sure the PWHL might change how expansion looks in a few years, but we'll see. Um, so But it's just really big to hear that, Knight, someone who's essentially your de facto captain, will want to help build things, especially considering she's from around the area. Carpenter mentioned playing in the rivalry series game against Team Canada back on November 20th of 2022, saying it definitely plays a role on where I wanted to play. Said she was impressed by how loud the crowd was when they scored their first goal. So, you know, it's really big. And also Hillary Knight mentioned how the pre-existing relationship that she had with former Boston Fleet associate GM Megan Turner helped her decision of signing with Seattle, saying she wanted to be in good hands. You want to be in good hands. So really great things to hear there. We've got the Carpenter article out, and by the time you see this, the Schroeder article will be out because just 3 hours later, PWHL Seattle got their goaltender. They signed Corrine Schroeder, the first goalie to secure a shutout in the PWHL, the leader in shutouts for this past season with four, and leader in league history in career regular season shutouts with five, to a 2 year deal. So you lock Schroeder up. Um, I was really wondering where Seattle might go with their goalie signings here. Obviously, again, um the expansion draft is still yet to come. But as you would like to lock up an elite netminder. Recorded the first ever shutout in PWHL history in the inaugural game. As I mentioned, led the league in shutouts last year, has the most career regular season shutouts, finalist for the Goaltender of the Year award in 2024, and ranks third all time in regular season saves with 1,005. Um, it's really interesting. You got to go ahead and look at the list of players who will be available in that expansion draft. Um, hmm, uh, hmm, yeah, you're gonna go ahead and look and see who's available. Like Nicole Hensley is still available. Kristen Campbell. I thought Kristen Campbell was a name to watch. Sylvia nailed it though. It was gonna be either Schroeder or Campbell, and obviously it was Schroeder. So it'll be fascinating to see who's available. Um, that's still exposed as of now. Uh, so you know, yeah, that was it. Um, Looking ahead to the expansion draft on Monday, there's still a lot of players available. I was told that there were some discussions with Hannah Bilka from the Boston Fleet, but nothing materialized there. I mean, a 24-year-old forward, 5 goals, 6 assists last season. I would really love to have Hannah Bilka, but we'll obviously have to see. Grace Zumwinkle with the Frost. Um, Ivy Roke is still available. That's pretty remarkable. Um, Oh, yeah, Jenna. Golly. Uh, wow, this is so fascinating to see. Emma Malte. Yeah. Defensively, it'll be really interesting to see because Seattle's one signing on the blue line is Kayla Barnes, which is great, but you have to wonder um, what else they do there. Emily Brown is a name I've been told to look out for. Um, Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what Seattle does with the rest of the blue line there because you have to think they'd go perhaps maybe a little more veteran wise, but we'll see because Barnes is coming off of her rookie season. So expansion draft is on Monday. We'll be live, uh, at Rough and Tumble Pub, which is the official watch party for the expansion draft here in Seattle, co-hosted by Women's Pro Hockey Seattle. So hope to see you there. Hope to see you in our live stream. We will continue to the men's hockey team, who seemingly is going the wrong direction, with the Seattle Kraken. Today, we got the news via press release that the Kraken, excuse me, had relieved assistant coach uh, Dave Lowry and goaltender coach Steve Briere of their respective duties. The Lowry one, we talked about it. Myself, our new hockey contributor Miracle, and our other one of our more tenured hockey contributors Jade. We did a show on this one. This will be the most recent video before this one on our channel, but we talked about it. Lowry was probably a little more predictable. With Lane Lambert coming in, Dave Lowry was one of the more tenured coaches in this Kraken organization. Was brought on before year two. Um, and it had essentially been the second in command, it felt like, for a lot of things. I felt like if anything happened during the season with Dave Hackstall in year two or Dan Bilesma last season, um, oh, year two or three, sorry, that it would have been with Dave Lowry. Uh, guess not. So And Steve Briere, I mean, Steve Briere so often had been looked at as the goalie whisperer, your second longest tenured assistant behind Lowry. Andrew Allen was the year one goaltender coach. Obviously had seemingly a good relationship with Joey Daccord and Philip Grubauer. Um, Both have referenced Steve Briere on numerous occasions. And especially you consider the rise that Joey Daccord has had in his career coming with the Kraken, have to imagine that coincides with Steve Briere. So, I mean, now at this point, the longest tenured coaches in general for this team are the video coaches and Tim Ohashi and Brady Morgan, who have been here since the inaugural season. So yeah, not great, folks. Unsure what Lane Lambert has up his sleeve. We'll hear from him on Monday is his introductory press conference. So we'll have to see what happens there. I mean, I'm sure one of the folks will ask it before I do. But gotta wonder if he's already got guys lined up or if it just because the release that we get is, from general manager and executive vice president Jason Botterill, released the following statement. As Lane Lambert evaluates the coaching staff, we've made the decision to relieve assistant coach Dave Lowry and goaltending coach Steve Briere. So uh, he either really didn't like what those guys contributed. You also have to remember that Dave Lowry works on the PK, and the PK during Kraken history as a franchise has not been great. It's usually been the lower third, only ever really getting to mid or the middle of the pack, if you don't want me to just use the word mid. So I don't know. I question what in the hell is going on with the thought process. Hey, maybe Lane Lambert has somebody lined up, and the next time we do the Seattle sports summary, we'll have something for you. But I mean, as of right now, we don't, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll continue on. We'll go to our. We talked about the women's soccer team um, with with the rain. We'll go over to the Sounders here and look at them. They had training today, ahead of what should be a match on Sunday. I've been told from a source of mine that there's some possibility that the match doesn't get played. For those who aren't aware, Vancouver is coming back from playing in a big match. Um, uh, Let me get this right because it's not the same. Yeah, CONCACAF Champions Cup. Yes, because it's different than what the Sounders won in CONCACAF Champions League. They lost brutally to Cruz Azul by a final score of 5-0. The problem is they're coming back after there's some quote unquote significant number of players and staff ill after the game. Um, was it their head coach? Uh, oh yeah, Canada men's national team. Head coach Jesse Marsh alleged on Friday that three members of his team who traveled to Mexico with the Whitecaps were poisoned. Um, the Whitecaps lost to Cruz Azul in the final and canceled their training session on Wednesday after a significant number of players and staff members fell ill with gastrointestinal intestinal symptoms. So, oof, it'll be really interesting to see if they do play that match on Sunday. From what Brian Schmetzer at training was aware of, well, he said they're training as if they're playing on Sunday. So we'll see. I mean, either this match gets postponed and Seattle gets to train a bit more ahead of the Club World Cup that takes place over the course of this month, um, or they play a heavily depleted Vancouver Whitecaps side, which, to add a little more, sorry, I'm trying to pull this up. To add a little more context to things, the Whitecaps have been one of the very best teams in the Western Conference this year. Um, and they sit atop Cascadia Club right now. So, um, it's this is a big match, no matter how you slice it. Um, and Seattle's obviously they would like to, uh, after losing to Minnesota, they like to pick up some points. In the Western Conference, those are key matches for them, and especially going into the Club World Cup, where the world will be watching, you'd like some momentum so that you don't just get stomped by Botafogo, Atletico Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain for having to jump right back into league play 5 days after the Paris Saint-Germain game. So that'll be really interesting to follow. But some not great news as forward Jordan Morris suffered a setback during a training session. Uh, for Brian Schmetzer, he'd been seemingly full training participant heading into this week, the last few days. Pulled himself out of training back on Thursday. So that's tough, but it sounds like he will, excuse me, miss this Sunday's match, and they'll have to see if he's available for the Club World Cup. Schmetzer said that a lot of players want to play in the upcoming Club World Cup. But for Jordan, I mean, it just depends with his health, right? You don't want to mess with it. You still need him for the rest of the season. So, you know, from what I'm aware, what Brian said, it seemed to be a re-aggravation of the hamstring injury that he suffered, um, which has forced him to miss 12 of the last 14 games that Seattle has played. So, we'll see. I mean, he could be back by the Club World Cup. What was important was Schmetzer mentioned that it was precautionary that they were holding him out. So, we'll see. Um, they're also being really patient with two of their center backs. They're down two key center backs in Yamar Gomez Andrade with a hamstring injury and Kim Keehee with a calf injury. What was really interesting to me about what Schmetzer said about Kim's calf injury was that they weren't quite sure what it was in his calf that's bothering him. I think it's strained still, but there's a previous injury that's affecting, as what the team is trying to look at to really truly lock down what it is, which I don't know if I've quite heard that they're trying to look around the past injury to diagnose a current injury. So Kim was doing some stuff still in this training session. Neymar's trying to get back by Club World Cup, but we'll see. Neither, I don't think, will play against Vancouver. So, um, mm, 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 mm. I imagine it'll be, yeah, Jackson Reagan and John Bell as your center backs for this one. But if something happens to both of them, then it gets interesting. Stu Hawkins with the USA U19s, but rejoined the Sounders after he had some discomfort in his quadricep. So that's not good. They're not sure if he'll play against Vancouver. Cody Baker could be an option at center back, but I believe he's really only played outside as a defender. Um, and I think Leo Burney, who was signed from Ballard FC, um, also has a knock. So I don't think he'll play either. So we'll see. We'll see about that. Imagine Jesus Ferreira starts up top. So we'll see. We'll really see. But that's all we've got out of Sounders land for this one. It's kind of disappointing to hear about Jordan. Just really tough. Um, so we will look to see what happens if that match even gets played on Sunday. I believe it's Sunday at 6 o'clock. Seattle Sounders schedule. Yep, Seattle at Vancouver, Sunday, June 8th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Lastly, just some smaller things because not a lot happened from some of the other teams. Uh, the Storm play tomorrow. The only thing today was the availability report, and it's a clean bill of health outside of Katie Lou Samuelson, who's obviously out for the year with an ACL tear. So nothing for the Storm, nothing for the Tempest. They play tomorrow. The Storm play tomorrow. Excuse me, nothing for the Orcas. Their season begins on the 14th. The Majestics were eliminated from the playoffs on the 4th, unfortunately getting shut out 15 to nothing. And then some smaller things for some other teams. So the Seahawks, they announced their 50th season game. This season is the 50th anniversary season for them. They will honor their top 50 players, which they have since released. I believe it was yesterday. No, today it was they put out the graphic of all 50, but they announced the quarterbacks um, yesterday, which helped round out the top 50 players in franchise history as voted on. That game will be October 5th versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 1:05 p.m. kickoff at Lumen Field. It's the 50th season game. They will honor their top 50 players in franchise history. So there's that for the Seahawks. They wrapped up OTAs earlier this week, organized team activities. I'm pretty sure that's what organized. Yeah. So there's that. Seahawks are in their off-season mode, their off-season activities mode. So that's cool to see. And then the Seawolves. The Seawolves play tomorrow. It's a really big one because make sure it's tomorrow. For some reason, I thought it was Sunday. No, it is Sunday. They play Sunday. Um, yeah, I guess I'll repeat this the next few days. But so right now, the Seawolves are fourth in the Western Conference, right? The top four teams in each conference in Major League Rugby make the playoffs, right? The Seawolves had a terrible start to the season. It really looked like they were in a hole, but they've been on a really big tear as of lately. and have really been strong. See if I could go back to their results. Yeah, things looked good starting, with their win over the Chicago Hounds at home, 28-22. Think, okay, they smack Anthem RC, um, yep, 60-19. They lose to the NOLA Gold Rugby team, just narrowly by 8 points down on the road. I think, okay. And then they draw with RFCLA. I think, oh boy, okay, it's kind of over. They get a huge rivalry win, 28-24 on the road against the Utah Warriors. They get another critical victory at home against the San Diego Legion with a last minute try, 29-25. They beat the Houston SaberCats, who were atop of the Western Conference. So three big Western Conference wins in a row. They just narrowly lose their last match, June 1st, against the New England Free Jacks by a score of 37-30, but they do pick up 2 standings points. Why that's big? Because they are, excuse me, currently fourth place in the Western Conference. And we have to go now through the playoff scenarios for Seattle. Yes, they sit fourth in the Western Conference right now, right one measly point ahead of the San Diego Legion, right below them. So um, I might have been wrong. Houston might have, no, anyway. Yes. So Seattle is fourth in the West. They're in if they win and if San Diego loses. There are three scenarios here to help Seattle get in. If they win and San Diego loses, if both Seattle and San Diego win and they get the same amount of match points, then Seattle's in. If both teams lose, but Seattle earns equal or more bonus points, then they're in. Okay. We have to go through this. Unfortunately, if Seattle loses and San Diego wins, then they're out. If San Diego loses but grabs 2 bonus points and Seattle gets none, Seattle is out. Um, in the scenario that this game is tied, um, Seattle wins. Uh, wait, uh, yeah. So anyway, you really just need to get a win in this one. Okay, the they're playing the Miami Sharks, who seemingly are locked up in their playoff spot. They're 10 points clear of the NOLA Gold Rugby in the Eastern Conference. Um, so I mean, it's not like you're playing a bottom of the barrel team, so it won't be an easy one. Um, you want to get a win here. I have to see who San Diego's playing. San Diego's playing Old Glory. Old Glory is the third team in the Eastern Conference, so you know could be interesting. Um, yeah. So at the end of the day, you're hoping that the Seawolves get the victory and that the Legion lose. But you have to, with the standings points, you have to look at who gets those match points as well if both teams win. So at the end of the day, get a win and then worry about the other stuff from there for the Seawolves. But really interesting. I mean, the Seawolves, in their history have been a really successful team outside of a few years. So this would be an outlier in terms of results because they won the league title the first 2 years of their existence. Um, if I gotta go back here, yes. First years of existence, 2018 and 2019, 2020, things were cut short after 5 matches. They were 1-4 in those 5 matches, so it was probably good that they had the season cut short due to 2020. 2021, they went 4-12, so bad year. 2022, they won the Western Conference and they lost to Major League Rugby New York in the final and the championship game. In 2023, they lost in the Western Conference final to San Diego. And then last year, they lost to New England Free Jacks in the final. So they've gone to the playoffs every year that counts, except for one. And they've been involved in the league title match every year that counts, except for two. And one of those, they were in the Western Conference final. So there's a history of winning with the Seawolves. There's a standard with the Seawolves. So it was just really fascinating to see how bad the year had started for them. But hey, they have a chance to go and make a run. And considering how they've played, the last 5 matches or so, 4 or 5 matches, I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. So yeah, should be another busy day tomorrow. Mariners play, Storm play, Tempest play. Um, there's more going on, I'm sure. Right? Mariners play, Storm play, Rain do not, Sounders don't, Kraken don't, PWHL Seattle doesn't, Seawolves don't, Tempest do. So I think it's three. Yeah. So probably do another one for that tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the Seattle Sports Daily Summary. Until we see you probably tomorrow, take care of yourselves, be well, do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hello there, everybody. Charles Hamaker here with Circling Seattle Sports. I'm joined by Jen Barnes of Rough and Tumble that we happen to be at right now.
Yeah.
Jen, why don't you talk to me a little bit about what we're announcing today, which is our partnership.
I'm so excited about this. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I think all of us here at Rough and Tumble are big fans of what you and your team at Circling Seattle Sports does. And so, I know you know this, but when you came to me with this idea, it just seemed pretty natural. And it's not just me. I think a lot of people in the sports community in Seattle also really respect you and your team. So it's exciting to kind of see these two things melding together, and we're really excited to start implementing some of the things and then hopefully seeing you guys a little bit more often.
Yeah, and so with what Jen says about seeing us more often, we've got a few things in the works, but you'll see watch parties here. We'd like to do a few different of our community drives, which you'll hear about here in a little bit. From now, we've got to make our announcements one at a time. I can't drop everything.
Not everything
right.
all at once.
But this has been a home for a lot of our team, whether it's myself, our friend, our photographer Liz is behind the camera. Liz is here often, so our team has kind of adopted this place kind of like our own since I saw you at our soft launch. So, it's been great to have that support. And in a lot of ways, and part of the reason I wanted to do this was the Rough and Tumble embodies a lot of what Circling Seattle Sports wants to do. Obviously with women's sports, with the storm and the rain, but just being, having the game on, every game on.
Yep.
How much of that, did you see align kind of even before this idea was mentioned when I first met you?
I think it's always felt like that. I mean, you and your team were here on opening night, and you just feel like you're part of the space, so it felt like really natural. And the fact that you actually cover all the sports really makes your group stand out. So you are always covering all the rain games, all the storm games. UW women's softball, UW women's basketball, UW women's hockey. We love it. So all of those things, and obviously passionate M's fans, passionate Hawks fans, and passionate Kraken and Sounders fans. So really, from our perspective, those two things meshed really well.
So, you heard it from Jen herself, but this will be our home for all of these events, whether it's you can't make it to these games at home, we're always going to direct you to Rough and Tumble, and obviously the games on the road as well. All these, we're talking about the rain, they've got their schedule out finally, but this will be our home for that.
Great.
The storm games on the road, this is our home.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes.
I love it.
And when I mentioned it to Jen, when I first had this idea come up, I had this idea come up wearing a pink wig.
Yes, you did.
Ahead of Megan Rapinoe's final regular season home game for the Reign this past year.
Yeah.
I told her it's because I wanted this to feel genuine.
Yep.
I wanted a connection to feel genuine, and it does.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, and I'm so excited to finally announce this partnership.
I can't wait.